Approaches and techniques of social casework. 1. Diagnostic approach. This approach is rooted in psychoanalysis and psychodynamic theories. It focuses on understanding the client's personality, past experiences, and social environment to diagnose the problem and develop a treatment plan. Process of the diagnostic approach. Study, gathering relevant information about the client's background, history, and present concerns. Diagnosis, analyzing the data to determine the root cause of the problem. Treatment, implementing interventions based on the diagnosis to help the client cope with or resolve the issue. 2. Functional approach. Developed by the Pennsylvania School of Social Work, this approach is based on the belief that clients have the capacity for self-determination. The focus is on enabling the client to use their own abilities to solve their problems. Key features. Emphasizes agency function, the role of the social worker and the organization. Focuses on time-limited casework and short-term intervention. Encourages client participation in problem-solving. 3. Problem-solving approach, Perlman's model. Helen Harris Perlman developed this approach in the 1950s. It is based on the belief that social casework should focus on resolving specific, immediate problems rather than deep-seated personality issues. 4 P's of Perlman's model. Person, the client who seeks help. Problem, the issue causing distress. Place, the agency or setting where help is provided. Process, the method used to assist the client in solving the problem. Steps in the problem-solving approach. Identifying the problem. Exploring alternative solutions. Implementing the chosen solution. Evaluating outcomes. 4. Task-centered approach. Developed by Reed and Epstein, this is a short-term, structured approach that focuses on identifying specific tasks to resolve client problems. Key principles. Problems should be specific and measurable. Clients and social workers collaborate to set realistic goals. Uses time-limited interventions, usually 6 to 12 sessions. Emphasizes client empowerment and accountability. 5. Radical approach. This approach is influenced by Marxist and critical social work theories. It views social problems as stemming from structural inequalities in society rather than individual failures. Key features. Focuses on social change and advocacy. Challenges systemic oppression and discrimination. Encourages clients to become aware of their social and economic rights. Uses collective action and community mobilization alongside individual support. Phases of casework intervention in social work. 1. Intake phase. This is the initial phase where the client first comes into contact with the social worker or agency. Key steps in intake. Establishing rapport and trust with the client. Understanding the client's problem and motivation for seeking help. Collecting preliminary personal and social details. Explaining the agency's services, policies, and limitations. Assessing whether the agency can address the client's needs. Completing necessary documentation and consent forms. 2. Study phase. In this phase, detailed information about the client's problem is gathered to gain a deeper understanding of their situation. Methods of study. Interviews with the client, family members, and other relevant individuals. Observation of the client's behavior and interactions. Reviewing records, medical, school, employment, legal. Home visits and community assessments, if required. 3. Diagnosis phase. The diagnosis phase involves analyzing and interpreting the information collected to understand the client's problem in depth. Types of diagnosis. Dynamic diagnosis focuses on the client's personality, emotions, and relationships to understand how these affect their problem. Clinical diagnosis, based on mental health and psychological factors influencing the client's situation. Etiological diagnosis examines the root causes of the problem, such as economic, familial, or social factors. A well-defined diagnosis helps in creating an effective treatment plan. 4. Treatment phase. The treatment phase involves applying interventions to help the client overcome their problems. Process of treatment. Setting goals. Based on the diagnosis, realistic goals are set. Planning interventions, choosing appropriate methods such as counseling, behavior modification, skill development, or financial assistance. Implementation. Applying the interventions through casework techniques like guidance, therapy, or advocacy. Monitoring progress, assessing whether the interventions are effective and making necessary modifications. Treatment methods can be direct, e.g., counseling, therapy, or indirect, e.g., referral, advocacy, community resources. 5. Evaluation phase. This phase assesses whether the treatment has been effective in solving or alleviating the client's problems. Evaluation criteria. Has the client's condition improved? Have the set goals been achieved? How has the client responded to interventions? What challenges or obstacles were encountered? Evaluation can be formative, ongoing during treatment, or summative, final assessment before termination. 6. Termination phase. Termination occurs when the intervention process ends either because the goals have been achieved, the client no longer requires services, or other circumstances prevent continuation. Types of termination. Planned termination, when the client has successfully achieved their goals. Unplanned termination, due to factors like the client dropping out, relocating, or agency constraints. Steps in termination. Reviewing progress and reinforcing positive changes. Preparing the client for independence. Providing follow-up resources or referrals, if needed. Addressing emotional reactions, both clients and social workers. A smooth termination ensures that the client maintains progress and does not relapse into previous difficulties. Techniques of casework intervention. A. Interview. 1. Procedure of interview. The interview process follows a structured method to ensure effective communication and problem assessment. Steps in the interview process. Preparation. Set objectives for the interview. Review the client's background information. Choose an appropriate time and setting. Establishing rapport. Create a welcoming and safe environment. Build trust through active listening and empathy. Explain confidentiality and the purpose of the interview. Information gathering. Use open-ended and probing questions to explore the client's issues. Observe nonverbal cues, body language, tone of voice. Encourage the client to share their thoughts and feelings. Clarification and analysis. Summarize key points to ensure understanding. Identify patterns, underlying causes, and possible solutions. Conclusion. Summarize the discussion and next steps. Address any remaining client concerns. Set up follow-up sessions if needed. 2. Principles of interviewing. Effective interviewing in social casework is guided by the following principles. Purposefulness. The interview must have a clear goal related to problem solving. Confidentiality. Clients should feel safe sharing personal information. Active listening. Focus fully on the client's words, emotions, and concerns. Empathy and non-judgmental attitude. Show understanding and respect for the client's feelings and perspectives. Clarity and simplicity. Use clear and simple language suited to the client's level of understanding. Objectivity. Avoid personal biases and maintain professional detachment. Timing and pacing. Let the client express themselves at their own pace while ensuring the conversation stays productive. Two-way communication. Encourage the client to participate actively rather than passively responding. 3. Types of interviews. Based on purpose. Intake interview. Conducted during the initial phase to gather basic client information. Assessment interview. Focuses on understanding the nature of the problem and diagnosing needs. Therapeutic interview. Used in counseling or therapy to help clients cope with emotional and psychological issues. Termination interview. Concludes the casework process and ensures a smooth transition for the client. B. Based on structure. Structured interview. Predetermined set of questions. Used in research, assessments, and standardized case evaluations. Example, a checklist-based interview for eligibility assessment. Unstructured interview. Open-ended, free-flowing conversation. Allows the client to express concerns in their own way. Example, a therapeutic conversation exploring emotions. Semi-structured interview. Combines structured and unstructured elements. Provides a framework while allowing flexibility. Example, a guided discussion where key areas are covered but the client has space to elaborate. C. Based on mode of communication. Face-to-face interview, the most effective form, allowing observation of nonverbal cues. Telephonic interview, used when in-person meetings are not possible. Limited in assessing body language. Online/virtual interview, increasingly used in digital casework, offering convenience but requiring strong engagement skills. B. Home visit. A home visit is when a social worker visits a client's home to assess their living conditions, family interactions, and overall environment. Objectives of a home visit. To understand the client's home environment and living conditions. To observe family relationships and interactions. To verify information provided during office visits. To provide direct support and guidance. To help in crisis intervention, e.g., domestic violence, neglect, abuse. Process of a home visit. Preparation. Set a clear purpose for the visit. Gather background information about the client. Inform the client in advance, unless it is an emergency visit. Conducting the visit. Observe the physical and emotional environment. Engage with the client and family members. Assess resources, needs, and risk factors. Recording observations. Take notes on housing conditions, family interactions, and social dynamics. Identify strengths and challenges. Follow up. Provide recommendations or interventions. Arrange for additional support, e.g., financial aid, medical assistance. Schedule further visits if necessary. C. Referral. A referral is the process of directing a client to another professional, agency, or resource that can better address their needs. Types of referrals. Self-referral. The client seeks help from an agency on their own. Agency referral. A social worker refers the client to another organization. Interdisciplinary referral. The client is directed to specialists like doctors, psychologists, or legal aid. Process of referral. Identifying the need. Assess whether the client requires external support, e.g., healthcare, employment, legal aid. Selecting the right agency. Choose a relevant and accessible service provider. Making the referral. Provide the client with details and, if needed, facilitate contact. Follow up. Ensure the client has accessed the service and address any issues. D. Environment modification. Environment modification refers to making changes in the client's surroundings to improve their well-being and help them function better. Types of environment modification. Physical modification. Improving living conditions, e.g., arranging housing, sanitation, or accessibility for people with disabilities. Providing assistive devices, e.g., wheelchairs, ramps. Social modification. Improving family and social relationships. Resolving conflicts and reducing social isolation. Economic modification. Connecting the client with financial aid, job opportunities, or vocational training. Community modification. Advocating for better local resources, e.g., schools, healthcare, transportation. Process of environment modification. Assessing the client's environment, identify problematic factors. Planning changes, determine feasible modifications. Implementing solutions, collaborate with agencies, government programs, or the community. Monitoring progress, ensure changes are effective and sustainable. Communication skills for caseworkers. Effective communication helps social workers establish trust, assess client needs, and implement interventions successfully. Essential communication skills. Active listening, paying full attention to the client, understanding their emotions, and responding appropriately. Empathy, understanding and acknowledging the client's feelings without being judgmental. Clarity and simplicity, using language that the client can easily understand. Nonverbal communication, paying attention to body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Observation skills, noticing behavioral cues that may indicate distress or important underlying issues. Questioning techniques, open-ended questions, e.g., can you tell me more about your situation, to encourage discussion? Closed-ended questions, e.g., did you receive financial assistance last month, for specific details? Feedback and clarification, summarizing the client's statements to ensure accurate understanding. Confidentiality awareness, maintaining professional boundaries and protecting client information. Casework recording. Casework recording refers to the systematic documentation of interactions, assessments, interventions, and progress made with a client. Importance of casework recording. Serves as a legal and professional record. Helps in continuity of care if multiple caseworkers are involved. Aids in monitoring progress and evaluating interventions. Provides data for research and policymaking. Types of casework records. Process recording, a detailed, verbatim account of interactions between the social worker and the client. Summary recording, a brief outline of client interactions, highlighting key points. Narrative recording, a descriptive account of client history, assessment, and interventions. Statistical recording, numerical data about cases, used for agency reports. Problem-oriented recording, focuses on the client's issues, interventions, and outcomes. Principles of casework recording. Accuracy and objectivity. Clarity and conciseness. Confidentiality and ethical considerations. Use of simple, understandable language. Casework relationship. The casework relationship is the professional connection between the caseworker and the client, built on trust, empathy, and mutual understanding. Characteristics of a good casework relationship. Acceptance, recognizing the client's worth without judgment. Empathy, understanding the client's perspective and emotions. Individualization, treating each client as a unique individual. Non-judgmental attitude, avoiding biases and personal opinions. Purposeful expression of feelings, encouraging the client to share their emotions. Controlled emotional involvement, balancing professional detachment with emotional support. Confidentiality, respecting the privacy of the client's information. Skills in social casework. Casework requires a combination of professional and interpersonal skills to assist clients effectively. Key skills for social caseworkers. Assessment skills, identifying client needs, strengths, and challenges. Intervention skills, applying appropriate strategies to resolve problems. Counseling skills, providing emotional support and guidance. Advocacy skills, helping clients access resources and defend their rights. Problem-solving skills, finding effective solutions to client issues. Conflict resolution skills, mediating disputes and reducing tensions. Networking and referral skills, connecting clients with services and resources. Documentation and record-keeping skills, maintaining accurate client records.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in next video.